There's a wealth of evidence supporting the theory of evolution, coming from various fields of biology and geology. The fossil record. Fossils are the preserved remains or traces of ancient organisms. They show a historical sequence of life, with older rocks containing simpler organisms and younger rocks containing more complex forms. Transitional fossils exhibit traits of both ancestral and descendant groups, providing crucial links in the evolutionary tree. For example, Archaeopteryx, with features of both reptiles and birds. The fossil record demonstrates the extinction of species and the emergence of new ones over time. Fossils can be dated using radiometric dating techniques, providing a timeline for evolutionary changes. Comparative anatomy. Homologous structures. These are structures in different species that have a similar underlying anatomical plan due to shared ancestry, even if they have different functions. For example, the forelimbs of humans, bats, whales, and birds have the same basic bone structure, adapted for different purposes: grasping, flying, swimming. This indicates a common ancestor with that bone structure. Analogous structures. These are structures in different species that have similar functions but have evolved independently and have different underlying structures. For example, the wings of insects and birds both serve for flight but have very different origins and anatomy. Analogous structures demonstrate convergent evolution, where similar environmental pressures lead to similar adaptations in unrelated organisms. Vestigial structures. These are reduced or non-functional structures in an organism that were functional in its ancestors. Examples include the human tailbone, or coccyx, the appendix, and the hind limb bones in whales. These structures are remnants of our evolutionary past. Molecular biology. DNA and genetic code. All living organisms share the same basic genetic material, DNA, and the same universal genetic code. This fundamental similarity points to a single common ancestor for all life. Molecular clocks. By analyzing the rate of mutations in certain genes or DNA regions, scientists can estimate the time elapsed since two species diverged from a common ancestor. Homologous genes. Comparing DNA and protein sequences between different species reveals similarities and differences that reflect their evolutionary relationships. Species that diverged more recently have more similar sequences than those that diverged long ago. Biogeography. Biogeography is the study of the geographic distribution of species. The distribution of organisms on Earth reflects their evolutionary history and the movement of continents over geological time, known as plate tectonics. For example, island species often resemble species on the nearest mainland but have evolved unique adaptations due to isolation and different environmental pressures, such as Darwin's finches in the Galapagos Islands. Groups of organisms that evolved before the breakup of major landmasses tend to have a worldwide distribution, while groups that evolved after tend to be restricted to smaller regions. Direct observation. In some cases, we can directly observe evolution occurring, especially in organisms with short generation times. Examples include the evolution of antibiotic resistance in bacteria, pesticide resistance in insects, and changes in beak size in Darwin's finches in response to environmental changes. Artificial selection, which is the selective breeding of plants and animals by humans, demonstrates the power of selection to produce significant changes in traits over relatively short periods.